Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jerry, and today we got my Week 7 picks where I'm going to go through every single Week 7 game. I'll go through my picks money line, against the spread, as well as do a score prediction all in one video. Try to keep it quick for you. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We do this every week. We do a review as well as a power rankings, and then I'm still cranking out those food reviews. So subscribe for more, and let's get right into this. Starting off with tonight, Thursday night, Saints-Broncos. I got the Broncos in this one, winning 21-17. I think with how well the Broncos defense has been performing and the positives that you've seen from Bo Nix kind of starting to get better and better week by week. I think, his attempt at a comeback in last week's game really showed, what he can do. And I think that he's going to continue to get better under Sean Payton. Obviously, a memorial night for, Sean Payton coming back and more importantly, Drew Brees. So it sucks to think that the Saints are going to lose with Drew Brees coming back, Sean Payton coming back, all this stuff. And it's crazy that they're plus 2.5 at home, but with all the injuries they're dealing with between Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Derek Carr, having to start Spencer Rattler and his number one being Bub Means. No problems with either of those players, but I just don't think they're going to be able to handle the Broncos defense. I think they're going to send the pressure. And it's going to get to Spencer Rattler. Might be difficult for him, but we'll have to see. I got the Broncos 21-17. Next, we have Jaguars Patriots, where I think minus 5.5 is a little much. You saw Drake May start to do well. You saw some flashes and you saw some decent throws. Obviously, it's going to be tougher with the Patriots traveling to London and the Jaguars already being over there. I have the Patriots covering in this one. Just because I think with what little bit you saw from Drake May, despite no run game whatsoever, I think they will be able to run the ball a little bit better on the Jaguars than they were on the Texans. The Texans have a good defense. So I think Drake May is going to be able to take advantage of this tougher defense. And not that the Patriots defense has been great this year, but Trevor Lawrence also hasn't been great this year. You're still dealing with Travis Etienne likely being out, Tank Bigsby and Ernest Johnson filled in well. But it just, to me, it seems like they're going to need to do better. And the Patriots defense in a lot of weeks has at least been able to keep the team in the game. Not necessarily last week, but I have the Patriots covering, but I think the Jaguars will get another win here. Moving on to Bills Titans, obviously the thumbnail had to put Will Levis. I can't believe I hadn't had Will Levis in a thumbnail. And then I think that, honestly, I don't think I've had Josh Allen in a thumbnail either. So just both needed to happen. But we've got Bills winning 28-21. You might think I'm crazy for thinking that the Titans are going to cover this one. I just think it's a large spread, and the Titans have been able to keep games close this year, usually holding opponents to around 20 points. So I think it's possible. This is definitely, kind of I put lock in the video. I think the Bills will be a lock to win this one, but I don't think... and I do think the Titans are going to lose. That's kind of my straight up pick. I think against the spread, I wouldn't put money on it, but against the spread minus 8.5, it's just a big spread for a Titans game. So I think they can keep it within a touchdown. Obviously, with my score prediction here being 28-21, Bills winning. Next, we have Packers Texans. This is one I went back and forth about in my mind. I wasn't sure. I just really didn't know which way to go. And I kind of ended up, coming to the conclusion that it is in Green Bay. And I think, Jordan Love's starting to look better. He's still throwing some bad interceptions, but it seems like no matter what, the Packers have been able to put up points. And the Packers defense, despite playing against some, not as good offenses so far this year, aside from, of course, like Minnesota and whatnot, I think that their defense has been really good, and I think it can at least contain the Texans. I believe Jair Alexander should be playing again, hopefully a little more healthy for him. And then I think they are really missing Nico Collins over there. I think, Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell are okay. And they're, they filled in pretty well there. Joe Mixon being back, I actually do think is going to be big for this one, but mainly because it's in Green Bay. And I think all around Green Bay has been a great team so far. I've got Packers taking this one down, but a very tough one with the Texans covering the spread. Honestly, when I picked it, I just kind of assumed the spread would be close. So I always pick the scores before I add in the spread for the games. So that's why, I kind of picked this one, kind of hedging my bets, assuming the Packers were favored. just because they're at home. And then, but I think the Texans really could win this one. It's a tough one. It's going to be an exciting game to watch, but I'm taking the Packers in that one. Next, we have Giants Eagles. I think this is another situation where the Giants defense has been playing well this year. I don't know. It is tempting to have them covering the 3.5, especially with, how poorly the Eagles have been doing. Eagles barely beat the Browns last week. So I think the Giants have looked more promising than the Browns, and you do have to go into New York. So interesting situation there. I think sounds like Malik Neighbors is coming back too, and I think that makes a big difference, as well as it sounds like Devin Singletary, still questionable, but might be healthy to play too. And I think if the Giants are completely healthy, I definitely think they can cover this spread. But the Eagles, I still think that they're the Eagles. I don't think that they're the Eagles from like early last year, but I think they're still a good football team. I think their defense has been kind of lackluster, and their offense has definitely underperformed this year, but they've been held to high expectations. So I don't think that's necessarily a super bad thing. But I have the Eagles winning this one, but I do think it's going to be close. Tough to tell. Again, another one I probably wouldn't touch for the spread. Seems like you would think last year you'd go, oh, Jalen Hurts against Daniel Jones. Yeah, I'm taking the Eagles. But yeah, it's a tougher one for me. But I got the Eagles beating the Giants 23-17. Next, we have Vikings-Lions. Will the Vikings get their first loss at home, coming off a bye, too? I just think, the Vikings are going to take advantage of that bye. The Lions have been on a hot streak. I don't think that they'll ever get like too confident in themselves and then screw up. I guess with how confident they've looked in themselves, maybe they could. But this is not week 6 too. I don't know why this slide decided to be week 6, still week 7. But yeah, the Vikings, I think the Vikings is another one. I think they could win, but the Lions offensively have just been so difficult to stop. It just seems like they're going to do better. And you did see Sam Darnold kind of starting to stutter a little bit in the season and not producing like he did early on. So I have the Lions winning this one and the Vikings taking their first L this year at home. This will be Lions 28, Vikings 20. Next, we have Falcons Seahawks. This is another game. I think it's going to be a really good game because the Seahawks have found ways to drive the ball down the field. And so have the Falcons, honestly. You have Kirk Cousins had a 500 game. Geno Smith's had a few 300-yard games. So my scores don't really suggest what I just talked about. But I also think both quarterbacks can make mistakes. And so I have it probably, now that I'm looking at it, probably a little too low scoring. Like if you were to ask me to pick the over, the under, I can guarantee you that this score would reflect the under. Which I don't know what the over under is. If I had to guess, it's probably like 46, 48-ish. But yeah, Falcons 21, Seahawks 17. Again, looking back at it, I'd probably feel more comfortable at like a 28-24 or even, 31-27, 31-20, somewhere around there. The 3 spread's tough. I guess I got lucky with taking the Falcons all the way here. Again, the Seahawks also looking for a get-right game, though, with 3 back-to-back losses after starting 3-0. So, again, Seahawks looking for a get-right game. I think the Falcons been on a bit of a roll here, a couple good wins against not last week, obviously not a great team, but I think the Falcons are finally starting to figure things out on offense. And the Seahawks have been in a slump, so I'm taking the Falcons 21-17. Next, we have Browns-Bengals. Browns obviously looking for a win. You trade away your best wide receiver, and really still your only defender that is notable is going to be Myles Garrett, that's been performing very well. So I think Browns are able to still have a good defense and hold the Bengals to a lower score. We saw it last week when the Bengals played the Giants. I've talked about the Giants in this way where they just consistently hold teams to lower scores. So you tend to not get too far out of the, high teens, low 20s. And I think the Browns do it again, but I just think the Bengals offense is too high powered to not lose the game. And I don't see how the Browns are supposed to produce any offense. I think their only hope would be if they can get the ground game going early. And if Nick Chubb is just somehow prime Nick Chubb again. But yeah, I'm taking the Bengals in Cleveland, 20-12, obviously taking them against the spread, everything. Next we have the Colts Dolphins. This was another one where I was very torn on what I think was going to happen. I think it just seems like to me the Dolphins are going to have to figure it out. They're going to have to, like, I feel like something's going to happen. And knowing that Anthony Richardson's probably starting and Jonathan Taylor's probably not playing, I think that's probably the Colts' worst scenario. I think no matter what, they're better off with Joe Flacco, regardless of other players. But I also think that Anthony Richardson is like a significant downgrade when you don't have Jonathan Taylor because you're not able to lean on that run game as much. So I think in the event that if it's Anthony Richardson starting and no Jonathan Taylor, I think the Colts could lose this game, and that's why I think it's going to be close because the Dolphins, another team looking for a get-right game. So when Tua comes back, they can try to add themselves back into the playoff conversation. But I'm taking the Colts to win it. Again, they're at home, and Anthony Richardson probably looking for a good game to display his ability. But I'm taking the Colts 21-20. Very tough one, again, for me to pick. Should be a good game, but I'm taking the Colts in this one. Commanders-Panthers, this probably won't be a good game. I think the Commanders are going to beat the shit out of the Panthers, and Jaden Daniels has been great this year. He's also done well against better teams. We talked about the Ravens. I think a lot of Commanders fans kind of overreacting to it, though. They're talking about, because there's a lot of Bears fans that are upset about, Caleb Williams not getting Rookie of the Week when he had 4 touchdowns, about the same total yards, did have 1 interceptions, but it was to Jaden Daniels' two touchdowns, and also had a much worse completion percentage, and yet he doesn't get it, and they go, well, we were playing against the Ravens. The Ravens have had a really bad defense this year, too. I wouldn't say it's as bad as the Jaguars, but Bears beat the shit out of the Jaguars, and Commanders lost the game, so I don't know why the loser in that case gets Rookie of the Week, which that's fine. They can take their Rookie of the Weeks. But Commanders 38, Panthers 17. Again, I think the Commanders offense is going to command things and be the reason that they win this game. I still think that their defense has been okay. I think their defense has been a little pampered this year because of how many times they rarely have to play from behind. So it makes it easier on the defense. And I think the same could go in this game. So I'm taking the Commanders 38, Panthers 17. Next we have Rams Raiders. This is another one where the Rams typically played pretty close in games, aside from the game against the Cardinals, where they just got absolutely murdered. But I think, Rams 20, Raiders 17, it makes sense. Everybody's very low on the Raiders. Raiders are trying to find a get-right game, and I think this could be it, especially because almost like a trap game where the Rams, coming off a bye at home. Rams at home never really is home. So I think there'll be a lot of Raiders fans there. Probably maybe even more wanting to go there rather than to their own Raiders games with how much of a joke the team has been. But I think, again, Raiders looking for a get-right game. I think, kind of a trap game for the Rams. Obviously, I'm sure Matt Stafford's feeling good about getting a week of rest. And I think the Rams pretty easily win this one. I would have liked it a lot better at 7.5, but I think it could be a very close game, and that's why I think the Raiders could cover. I think Max Crosby's still going to be getting back there, and I think the Raiders' defense, granted they didn't do great last week against the Seahawks, but I think the Rams are still dealing with some issues with those injuries. So I'm taking a closer game, but the Rams winning 20-17. Next we have 49ers Chiefs, and we have both of the undefeated teams coming off the board this week, with me predicting a Vikings loss as well as a Chiefs loss. I think the 49ers, obviously they get a pretty big win over the Seahawks last week. Chiefs coming off a bye, so obviously well rested, and coming off of a pretty good week of Patrick Mahomes to Juju Smith-Schuster, who really needed to step up with Rashee Rice going down. Kareem Hunt also looking really good. So all signs would point to the Chiefs winning, but I think the 49ers probably trying to make a statement game here and get a statement win over one of the final undefeated teams. So I'm taking the 49ers to win this one. Be tough for Shanahan to outcoach Andy Reid, but I think it's possible. So I'm taking the 49ers 24, Chiefs 21 winning that game. Next we have Steelers and the Jets. Now I think this one, I think it's a big mistake for the Steelers to start Russ. I think that's going to cause them problems. I have George Pickens on my fantasy team, and I don't even know if I want to start him because I have no idea how that's going to go. Basically, Justin Fields just targeted him like most of the time, and that worked out pretty well. I don't know how Russ is going to be. I don't think Russ is going to be better for the team at this moment. I think if you would have saw more negative from Fields, I think there'd be a good reason to take him out, but they were 4-2. They were winning games. So it seemed like an odd decision to me. But I think the Jets getting Aaron Rodgers, this is all part of the fairy tale storybook that Aaron Rodgers is all a part of. Oh, he gets Davante Adams and has a great week against a 4-2 team. Just sounds like it would make sense for me. So Jets also somehow favored in this one in Pittsburgh. That seemed really odd to me. But I guess I'm going to buy into the hype here, and I have the Jets beat the Steelers 23-17. Feel very good about having to eat my words here, though. I'm very aware that the Jets probably won't win this game, and the Steelers will just still win because of how good their defense is. They're going to get to Rodgers. It's not going to matter how well Davante does there because he's not going to have time to get it to him. So again, taking the Jets, don't feel very good about it. And then we got, I think, one of the last ones here, Buccaneers, Ravens. The Buccaneers, I have the Buccaneers taking down the Ravens. And this is another one that was tough for me. I think it's just because the Buccaneers have been able to put up points week after week after week. And, people talk about the 49ers having, look at all these offensive pieces, and the Lions, they have multiple running backs and all these wide receivers and stuff. And nobody talks about the Buccaneers. Chris Godwin's been wide receiver 1 this year and never does that. He's always in Mike Evans' shadow, and Chris Godwin's being that guy. Mike Evans can still do it, though. Cade Otton is a great tight end. I would say, top half tight end in the league. You've got, originally you have Rachaad White, who hadn't really done much, so Bucky Irving takes over more of the snaps, and then Sean Tucker comes in and just does well, too. So I think all around the Buccaneers have been good this year, and I think the dominance of their offense, although you're going to say, oh, well, Jerry, you talk about every week about how the Ravens, is anybody going to stop Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Ricard, the whole deal. Zay Flowers still on the outside, has a great week last week. I think Vita Vea, and the Buccaneers' run defense has been a little underwhelming this year, but I think, I don't know, it just seems like the Buccaneers never stop scoring. And I don't think that the Ravens defense hasn't been good. So I'm kind of banking on the Buccaneers defense doing a little bit better than the Ravens defense, both doing poorly, and the Buccaneers coming out with the win. So I have them winning, even though they're not favored at home. Seems like an easy pick. You could very easily do, Ravens 31, Buccaneers 28 or something. And then if you wanted to play the odds, like that would make perfect sense because you can get the Buccaneers covering, but I would be predicting the Ravens to win, which is what the books think. So I'm taking the Buccaneers, though. I'm staying confident in them. Probably going to eat my words there, too, because Derrick Henry has just been absolutely dominant. But we'll see what happens. I got the Buccaneers in this one. And then this is the last one, Cardinals-Chargers. I don't know if anybody's going to end up watching this game, but I'm taking the Chargers in this one. I think the Cardinals have been a mess, and the Chargers have not really been too great. Almost blew it last week, but I think the run game's been really good, and I think everybody kind of forgets that Justin Herbert's still the quarterback, threw 5,000 yards at one point. So I think it's kind of a situation where they've been okay running the ball, but maybe you could look at it either way, where you think, they've been okay running the ball. Can they pass the ball? I look at it as, I think Justin Herbert still can pass the ball. So I'm just kind of assuming they haven't really needed to show that yet. But that could come back to bite them too. So I think the Chargers are going to run the ball all over the Cardinals and cause an issue. Tough to name players on the Cardinals defense. You pretty much name Budda Baker, Zaven Collins, and then is anybody else on the team? I'm not sure. I'm sure there's people out there still think Isaiah Simmons is there. He's not. He's on the Giants. So, I don't know. I'm taking the Chargers in this one. Don't have a lot of faith in the Cardinals at this point. Get smoked by the Packers last week. But we'll see what happens. They're favored by only 2.5. Got another low-scoring game. That's how the Chargers games have been. They've been right around that 20 range. So taking the Chargers in that one, and that gets my record so far this season. What a great week. Round of applause for myself here. Pat on the back, too. 13-1 last week. Great week there, straight up. So we go 13-1. Only 9-5 against the spread, so a little worse there. But, pretty average, I guess, overall. And then that brings me to 49-43, though. And then the better rushing team record right on my tail at 61-31. So far I'm winning, as far as the money line picks. We've had a couple easy ones, but this is a tough week where you've got a lot of spreads that are very close and potentially close games. So we'll see what happens. But that's going to be it for this video. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.